Hi, I'm Tony Slinger, a bespoke shoemaker from Harrogate in Yorkshire, and I've spent the day with Lisa Sorrell and Karina showing them how I make shoes in Yorkshire, and it's been a really enjoyable day. This is called, you know what this is called? This is called skiving, and I had my first day in the workshop where he's going to teach me this, because for the first 3 months he's making threads, and then when I'd made the threads properly, then you're allowed to do this. And I came home from work and I was 15, 16, and my father said, "What have you been doing all day?" I said, "Today I've been skiving." Well, in England, skiving means you've been doing nothing, you've been lazy. Okay. And my father says, you can't be going to work and skiving. I said, "No, skiving is a leather." Yeah, so if I'm going to skive a stiffener like this, waxed cavalry boot leather, this isn't going to take anything off your knife by rubbing it on there, You can't. All you're doing is wearing your knife away. But
you feel that the strop is more important in sharpening than putting it on the stone all the time.
If you don't use this, you'll constantly have to sharpen this. And then what'll happen is you'll end up going through God knows how many knives. You watch when I do this stiffener and I finish with it, and then I'll use this again, and then this will go back on here. I've not touched anything. I've not sharpened anything. So okay. I'll use this to skive. This should have been in the water a bit longer, but so I'm just taking that top edge. Now I'm going to get really thin. So then all you do is then just run it over to take that little ridge off. Just literally run it. You're not putting any pressure on. And then this has to be half the thickness, so what you do with that, you just take it to that level.
That was a beautiful thing, Tony. I mean, seriously.
Perfection.
That was a beautiful thing.
So then, that knife is as sharp as it was when I started that.
So here we are in our tiny little renter car on really narrow roads in England, and Dale is driving. Can you hear the panic in my voice?
Hi, Mom. And the countryside is beautiful.
The countryside is beautiful.
Over there.
Don't look, just drive.
I am in Northampton, England at the Independent Shoemakers gathering, and I feel that I've sort of captured a mythical beast here because I am here with Jim McCormack. I have heard so much about him through the years, and I'm finally getting to meet him, and I'm super excited. Hello, Jim. Your shoes are amazing. I can't even tell you. When I saw the finish on these shoes, I just wanted to go outside and bang my head against the wall violently.
Don't do it.
So you told me last night that the secret of the beautiful finish is...
Well, it's time, really.
Lots and lots of time.
There's no great trick. It's just spending a lot of time. Probably on a reasonably complicated kind of finish. Half a day's work, really. Half a day's work.
Just on the finish.
4 or 5 hours, you know. Yeah.
So tell me how you got started in shoemaking.
I started in repairing as a part-time job out of school, and heard about shoemaking.
And how old were you?
16, 15, 16.
And that's the reason that people might not have met you or heard of you before, is because you were working for other companies rather than...
Yeah, I'm a very sort of low-key backroom boy, really. I got interested in, as we were saying about the making, the closing and pattern cutting, I kind of got interested in that to try and become an all-rounded shoemaker, you know. And that's what I really am interested in now. I mean, I'm very happy working for all the companies I work for.
I'm sure they're very happy too.
I'm trying to come out of my shell, you know. If you've learned to do something well, you owe it to everybody to do the best you can. I worked in a little workshop on my own, very isolated. And for years, all I did was just do what you were taught money was not an issue. It was just try and perfect what you're doing, and you never do perfect it. You just repeat and repeat. Don't get distracted, and it pays off. You know, it pays off. That you learn to do something that you really are proud of and enjoy. You know. Now I've been making shoes for just over 40 years, and I'm confident in what I'm doing, but I know that I don't know it all. And the more you want to pursue this kind of thing, the more hurdles there are. You know. But that's part of the fun of it, the challenge of it. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
You never ever get bored. You can't even imagine boredom.
Frustrated.
Yes. Challenged, but never bored.
That's right. I get certain jobs that when I finish them, I put them down and I kind of go, I won't be doing that again. But then you forget.
Yes.
And you take it on again. And yeah, each new job you start, I attempt to improve.
Yes. Thank you so much for visiting with me. It was really a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much. Thanks. It's been great to meet you.
The first thing that we know in history of what we would recognize today as a cowboy boot simply had a single star in the front, a single inlaid star. And because I'm a boot maker and I know lots of boot makers, I have a theory about how this star came to be. And that would be, one day there was a boot maker who needed to make a pair of boots and he only had one skin of leather. The only way he could lay out the pattern left a flaw right in the middle of it. And so he got the bright idea to cut a star out and disguise that flaw with a star. The other cowboys who saw that pair of boots with the star went, ooh, I want a pair of boots like that. And then all of the other boot makers said, I can make stars, or I can make 2 stars, or I could do flowers or eagles or butterflies. And before we knew it, this happened. Now all of these pieces are cut with an X-Acto knife by hand, one at a time. My friend Marcel Mizran, who teaches shoemaking in Savannah, Georgia, one day I was eating lunch and my cell phone rang, and I picked it up and Marcel said, Lisa, I have you on speakerphone. My students have been looking at your work and they don't believe that you don't have a laser cutter. Do you have a laser cutter? And I said, no, I don't. I have 5 fingers and an X-Acto knife. And I heard a chorus of oohs and ahs in the background, and he said, okay, bye, and we hung up. So I had this idea for a flowing design with leaves, but I went to a fabric store and found some sort of fabric that got me started. And I remember I was very, very new to this and had never really designed anything, and I sat down with a piece of paper and looked at this fabric and thought about what I wanted and drew this design, and when it was done, I just looked at it and thought, wow, where did that come from? And that's just the most exciting, I'm sure you know that, when your hands create something that just amazes you. One of my biggest limitations is color. I don't get to imagine the perfect shade of purple and then just call up the leather store and buy that purple. I have to work with the leather colors that I have. Kangaroo is the best leather for making boot tops because it's thin but it's strong and it skives beautifully. So all of these designs you see are in kangaroo leather, and whenever I find kangaroo leather, I buy it, no matter what color it is. I probably have the largest selection of colored kangaroo in the US, and I'm always looking for more because maybe I don't like that shade of blue, but I'll never find it again. And see, this is just an example of what stitching can do. Imagine this feather with no stitching up the middle. It's just a blob that's kind of shaped like a feather. But you put the stitching in it, and suddenly it's a feather. Now, when I got my job for Jay, the very first raise that I got, he said, when you can stitch 1 row on all 4 panels in 30 minutes, I'll give you a 50-cent raise. And so that was my goal, and I finally achieved it. And that was the standard for women, and it was women in the factories doing the top stitching, was 1 row on all 4 panels in 30 minutes.